Fight fans, fight fans, fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news, some breaking news concerning Canelo, Alverez, Gennady, Golovkin. We're doing it for the third time. It has been set on September 17th. He will fight Gennady Golovkin. Then Bivol rematch comes later. Canelo Alverez reportedly to be taking the trilogy match with Gennady Golovkin next on September 17th and then face Dimitri Bivol in the rematch. Canelo is wisely taking the third fight with the 40-year-old Golovkin. While it's still available, as promoter Eddie Hearn said, it's now or never for the Canelo or Golovkin trilogy. Golovkin will be turning 41 soon, and he's really showing his age, and we saw it in his last performance against Ryota Murata on April 9th. If Canelo doesn't fight Golovkin now, someone else will beat the aging Kazakh and wreck the prospect of the third fight between them. Canelo will be returning to the 168-pound division to defend his undisputed super middleweight crown against Golovkin, who will be moving up in weight 8 pounds from 160 to challenge him for all 4 belts. He said, quote, "We still don't know where Canelo is going to be talking about a Bivol rematch and coming down to Canelo's weight at 168, fighting for all the belts," said Abner Mares to the Volume. "We just don't know what Canelo Alvarez is going to do at this point. Canelo is in the position to do whatever he wants. He's going to take a lot of money no matter who he fights, regardless of the Bivol rematch," said Chris Mannix. "If you're Canelo Alvarez, what do you do? It seems like there are 2 options for September. A rematch with Bivol, either at 175, as you said, Bivol coming down to 168, or maybe a catch weight. Or do you put that fight Bivol aside and go into a marketable trilogy against Gennady Golovkin? It's still one of the bigger fights that appeal the mainstream audience in all of boxing. There's still an appetite for Canelo against Golovkin. If you're Canelo Alvarez, or if you ask you, or Canelo asks you who should do, or should he do, or what should he do, what would you say?" Anyway, let me counterpunch. Now or never seems fair. I think we have good and bad with this, right? Because for one, the people that hate Canelo, the spectators, the haters, or whatever, they're going to say Canelo ran from a challenge. He went up to a challenge, he failed the challenge, and now he's running from the challenge at 175. They're going to say that he picked the weakest link to try, which I can't argue with. Why? Because you just got beaten by the bigger champion. You being the smaller champion, you were beaten by the bigger champion in a weight class bigger. You then in return, hey, well, let me fight Golovkin, which was always the weakest link in this whole ordeal. That's what made the Canelo haters criticize him and hate the way they did, because he chose, instead of fighting Jamal, David Benavidez, or El Spence, all undefeated fighters, he opted to fight Bivol, which is undefeated, and Golovkin, which he gave his first L to Golovkin, which is 40 years old. Okay, so, of course that was coming, but since he was beaten, now everything has changed, because they either call it karma, but it wasn't karma. Bivol was always one hell of a fighter, or one hell of a challenge anyway. Okay, so that was going to be, and I seen Bivol, I'm like, I don't see him fighting Bivol. When I saw him fight Kovalev, I was like, okay, I think that's going to be like Canelo's version of how Roy fought John the Quiet Man Ruiz back in the day. Okay, you could say that because, Ruiz wasn't the best champion there. He wasn't the most dangerous. Lennox Lewis was, of course. So, you could look at it like that. But since he did take on Bivol, you're like, well, dang, what's going on here? He is really challenging himself. So then, you had you had Bivol, that big challenge. Then you had Golovkin, that mediocre challenge, especially due to him diminishing in age, because Father Time will catch up with us all. So we have that. Now, talking about 168, we can't forget that he didn't fight at 168. He still is the undisputed champion at 168. There's still fighters that he could fight at 168. Let's say Canelo does this. Let's say he goes and he already fought Bivol. Now he's fighting Golovkin, right? So at this point, when he fights Golovkin, and I'm pretty sure he'll beat Golovkin, I think that he's now finalized the DAZN deal, right? So if the DAZN deal is finalized and complete, he could then in return stay at 168 and fight David Benavidez. Why not? Take on David Benavidez, the Mexican monster, like Mike Tyson says, right? If he does that, he will bring a lot of people to their knees as far as what their words have said upon him. Okay? And I think that would be the best move. You fight, you beat Golovkin, then you stay at 168 and you call out the Mexican monster. You call out that guy at 168. And if he does beat David Benavidez, do you think people will really give a shit about him getting beat by a bigger guy, Dmitry Bivol? Not really. People will bring it up just to hate, but at the end of the day, it's what you did lately in the sport of boxing. The only thing and the only reason we're hearing about Canelo Alvarez being beat is because it happened lately, people. Okay, so he could switch it. Okay, he could switch it, or he could go back, or he could bring Bivol down to 168. So he has choices. But the choice to fight Gennady Golovkin, I'm already talking about beating him. The chance to fight Gennady Golovkin at this point, I think it's like the DAZN's way of finalizing and getting what they want from Canelo by giving him all that damn money. And for us to see a third fight, which I don't want to see. I'm a hardcore guy. I'm not a casual guy. I don't want to see him fight Gennady Golovkin because I already pretty much know the outcome. But nonetheless, the fight is on September 17th. You guys tell me what you think. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!